This video is sponsored by Surfshark. Go to surfshark.deal/DominicNoble and use the code DominicNoble to get 85% off a 2-year plan and 3 extra months free. Stick with me and we'll talk more about how legitimately useful VPNs are later. Hello my beautiful watchers. So, this is a thing now. Every literary genre has its masterpieces that were finely crafted over decades by a genius author dedicating his all to his craft, and every genre has its schlock that was rushed out in large quantities for a quick buck. But in the personal experience I've accumulated exploring potential books for review for my channel, I have noticed that the romance genre in particular has a disproportionate abundance of the latter category. There is just something about romance in particular that lends itself to being crowded with authors who started writing 2 years ago but somehow already have 150 published books to their name. The rise of ebooks, which utterly remove production costs, and of Amazon as a platform to self-publish on, has had a catalytic exacerbation on this trend. You can now make an entire career out of writing very short self-published ebooks with similar looking but catchy covers that are sold cheaply with an emphasis on volume over quality, which is not to say that there's no quality to be found, it's just not the most rewarding factor. Please note I am not judging this practice because, if you really think about it, what I'm describing is basically if YouTube videos were books. With that in mind, it's really not that surprising to see that these stories follow trending topics almost as much as YouTube videos do, and there are few topics more hot right now than the low-key apocalyptic pandemic we're currently dealing with. Now, with 370,000 people dead worldwide and rising, it could be considered in somewhat poor taste to romanticize anything connected to Covid-19, but to be fair, these books were written a few months ago when things were just bad and not really bad. I'm not saying it's not weird, I'm just giving you the full context. As usual, there is a sliding scale of story-driven to smut-driven, and as is apparently my MO for these things, I've selected one of both extremes to serve as examples of the subgenre. I guess we'll start with the smut. Quarantined with the 10-inch soldier, interracial what the fuck have I gotten myself into? This is my job. This is my fucking job. I can't even with the... Quarantined with the, is a very short book available on Amazon written by Jamila Jasper. As you can see, her format fits what I described earlier pretty much perfectly. Synopsis. Yolanda Buck is an African-American woman who went on a cruise with her boyfriend in early 2020, got cheated on by her boyfriend on said cruise, and was forced to go into quarantine when she got back because there was a confirmed case on board of Covid19. I don't think that COVID is copyrighted, but okay. She's forced to stay in a tent with an incredibly hot young soldier with rippling abs, a huge crotch bulge, and a bad case of the rudeness called Tex Hardy, who's there to stop her from running away, I guess. She finds him very annoying, but she's so attracted to him she can't resist propositioning him. He turns her down at first, but that night it turns out he was just doing that because he thought his boss might catch him during the day, and they have lots of sex. That's it. That's the whole story. It would probably be a little silly and petty to judge what was clearly just intended to be erotic stimulus under the same microscope I used to pick apart other stories, but I'm actually okay with that. So here we go. I'm not convinced that Jasper did much research into what procedures were actually being put in place to isolate people returning from infected cruises. Putting them in complete isolation in some sort of temporary facility with regular medical testing seems much more cohesive and logical than what actually happened. Government response is much more organised in smut than reality. This is the world we're living in right now. We might as well get this out of the way now. This book is not very good. My first hint of this was when the very first witty repartee in it essentially boiled down to lol, buck rhymes with fuck. I wish I were exaggerating. I've been trying really hard recently to cut down on how much finger wagging I do at what I perceive to be bad messages in fiction, because everything is someone's fetish, and I don't like that it sometimes comes off as a bit patronising to the book's adult audience that undoubtedly already knows that it's not a good idea to try these things in real life and simply wish to fantasize. But my gods, this book tested that resolve. First of all, I'm 90% sure it references 50 Shades, so it gets the finger dance immediately. It also appears to promote the joys of unprotected sex by describing how much of a kick Yolanda got from deciding that she was willing to risk getting pregnant for the sheer thrill of said risk. STDs are simply not acknowledged to exist. In addition, Yolanda keeps talking about how great it is that Tex is such an alpha male, leading me to do a double take and wonder if I managed to pick up another Omegaverse book by accident. But no, she meant it in the real-life nonsensical hyper-toxic masculinity way. Joy. I can't even say that the smut in the smut was particularly titillating either, and I would like to remind you all that despite what my Hugh Grant-esque habit of getting flustered when I'm nervous might imply, I am not of the prudish nature when it comes to erotica. I like it a lot, that's why I can tell when it's not good. Tex keeps saying racially insensitive things to Yolanda during sex, and it makes her uncomfortable, but she decides to let it go. How is that sexy? I mean, genuine question, are awkward moments a fetish now? Okay, let's move on to the next book. I am already so done with this. Quarantined with My Professor. Quarantined with My Professor was written by Cole Adams. That is all the information I've been able to find on this. There's no author bio on Amazon, and all 4 books that they've written appear to have been uploaded simultaneously last March. So, wildly guessing from what info I have available, it kind of looks like they wrote a sequential trilogy about someone starting a relationship with a professor and then added this epidemic-themed spin-off later. Synopsis. Laurie is part of a class of musical college students who are on a field trip to Austria with their young hot professor Adrian Hughes when the pandemic breaks out in earnest and America closes its borders to all incoming travel. Everyone except Adrian and Laurie manage to make the last flight, trapping them there alone together. They rent a cheap Airbnb and try to settle in for a long wait and get to know each other. It turns out they are both recovering from bad breakups and both are insanely attracted to each other. They genuinely try to fight their urges for as long as they can, but eventually give in during a rather inadvisable game of Twister. Just for context, she's in her early 20s and he's in his mid-30s, so it is at least all between consenting adults, even if it is still a messed up situation. After that, they spend the remainder of the quarantine repeating the experience and helping each other get over their past trauma. Falling so hopelessly in love with each other, they're both heartbroken when the US allows travel for citizens returning home. After they get back, they spend a few months in separate lockdowns, staying in constant telecommunication. Then a vaccine is discovered and life goes completely back to normal. Ah, the young naive days of last March. We were so relatively optimistic back then. Once she's officially graduated, Laurie and Adrian start a relationship properly, and the book ends with her moving in with him. Well, actually it ends on her making a joke about getting pregnant soon. It's not as gratuitous as the first book, but for me personally, when pregnancy is brought into a sexy story in any way, I feel my libido leaving my body like Tilda Swinton has open palm slapped it out of me and it's entering the spirit world. That said, my beautiful watchers, this book was so much better. There were actually human-feeling interactions between the characters, there's a story, and the author knows how to spell COVID. Laurie runs into her abusive ex right at the end and utterly destroys him by showing just how little he matters to her anymore, and it's damn satisfying. The elephant in the room, of course, being this book's apparently genuine attempts to justify or excuse the act of a teacher starting a sexual relationship with his student who is currently under his supervision and more than 10 years his junior. While the immorality is acknowledged, the narrative works hard to make you root for these two to end up together and not face any consequences for their actions. I will say this, it's as not icky as it could possibly be while still being something that he should definitely have been fired and barred from teaching for. Laurie is only 4 months away from graduating, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe one's professor grades one's finals, so she really has nothing to gain from his favor. It's actually kind of fortunate that they went into lockdown separately as soon as they got home, so there weren't any interactions between them in the college after they became lovers. There's also no noticeable power disparity between them as soon as the story gets going. Both protagonists make decisions and plans together with equal input and respect. So I guess it depends somewhat on if you feel a teacher-student relationship is intrinsically unforgivable. If you do, you'll find this book uncomfortable no matter what, and if you don't, then, like I said, it's as not bad as it could possibly be while still being bad. One final thought on this book is, I think Adams really understands what so many of us have been discovering recently, the feeling of trying to maintain a friendship or a relationship with someone during lockdown. You'll see what I mean if you read it. So, in conclusion, the connecting theme here is pretty apparent, forcing hot people into inescapable close quarters until overwhelming sexual chemistry takes its course. I cannot deny that I see why the idea was so appealing as a romantic and/or erotic concept. I mean, I speak from personal experience as a formerly socially inept adolescent that getting accidentally locked in a broom closet overnight with my crush, who would go on to recognize me for the atypical but lovable doofus I really was and enthusiastically decide to spend the time in an intimate fashion, was a recurring fantasy. So yes, it does appear that the quarantine aspect is the real driver of these stories, which I guess truth in advertising that's on both the covers, and the COVID-19 connection is just the trend chasing. If this budding genre appeals to either your interest or your sense of morbid curiosity, I would obviously recommend the latter book as a starting point. Though if you have taken it upon yourself to read any of the other options available, please do let me know in the comments if you have found one that you believe is superior. And if you'll bear with me just a moment longer, my beautiful watchers, I think many of you you'll want to hear about the many advantages of today's sponsor, Surfshark. What is Surfshark? Well, the short answer is it's the VPN I use. What's a VPN? It's a service that redirects your outgoing and incoming internet activity through designated proxy servers located all over the world, encrypting it so it can no longer be logged, stored, or sold by malicious people and companies online. In addition, my personal favorite advantage of using a VPN is the fact that Surfshark allows you to bypass something that's been driving me mad for years now, country-based geo-blocking. Due to a nightmare of complicated distribution and licensing rights, the same streaming service, let's say Netflix, will have vastly different content from one country to another, so you might be denied access to certain movies and TV shows based on the bad luck of your geography. But connect to one of Surfshark's servers in that country, and suddenly all those otherwise inaccessible programs are yours to enjoy. Surfshark has always been one of the more affordable VPNs and is offering my viewers an even better deal. If you follow the link in the video description or go to surfshark.deals/Dominic Noble and use the code Dominic Noble, they'll take an additional 85% off a 2-year plan and throw in 3 extra months for free. This special offer makes internet safety and freedom from geo-blocking just $177 per month. So again, that is surfshark.deals/Dominic Noble and use the code Dominic Noble. Thank you for joining me, my beautiful watchers. Don't forget to do all that good stuff like liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. Please take extra special care of yourselves out there, and I will see you soon. Much love and appreciation to my patrons of honor, Shelby Holtz and Sam Cucinotta. Hello again, my beautiful watchers. I just wanted to take this opportunity to give you a quick reminder that there's a wonderful website called Patreon that's been allowing online producers to actually make a living doing what they do, since apparently YouTube's decided that they shouldn't anymore. Basically, they offer the chance to pledge a certain amount of money per month or per video in exchange for various rewards offered by the creator. There's a variety of stuff you can earn by becoming one of my patrons, including early access to all videos and taking part in that survey you see at the start of every Lost in Adaptation episode. That's actually a very important part of the process, as I use it to gauge how much I'm going to need to explain about the book and the film before I start comparing them. If you decide to become a higher level contributor, your name will be added to the credits that you're seeing right now, and you'll be given the option to join my private chat room so you can regularly talk with me and other patrons. If you're keen enough to join the topmost tier of patronage, you'll earn the most coveted of all the rewards, the chance to pick a future adaptation to be reviewed by yours truly. However, if right now you are thinking, my goodness the Dom, I can't do that, for I have no money left after building a personal fortress to prepare for the coming zombie apocalypse. Do you have any idea how expensive a lifetime supply of food, water, and ammunition is? Fear not, it would still be a huge help to me if you were to give that like button the old clickaroo, share this episode on social media with perhaps a little recommendation to your friends to check it out, and subscribe if you've not already. It really helps my channel grow and reach new beautiful watchers. I hope you have a most pleasant day, and I will see you in the next episode. Laurie runs into her abusive ex right at the end, and she utterly... Buddy, I said you could come in here if you were quiet. Is this being quiet, or is this being a noisy kitty? Yeah, I thought you'd have no answer. Oh, come here. Come say hi to the beautiful watchers. Yeah. It looks like I'm strangling him when I'm just scratching his chin. I don't like it. Smut. You know, I've done several takes of this, and it's been tails every time. I'm starting to get a little freaked out. Lol, luck, I'm scut, fluck, shuck, buck. I am not having a good day with words. I've been trying really hard recently to cut itchy face. Stupid beard. By describing how much of a thrill so she has nothing to... Buddy? Really? You're just gonna floop against the fucking tripod? You little shit. Say hello to the beautiful watchers. Whisper's already said hi. Oh, I'm gonna be so covered in your fur after this. It was worth it.